Waiting for sound. Got it. All right, here we go. All right, thank you, board, for coming out for a work session. We're going to put a lot of information on you. Not intentionally, it's just a lot of stuff is stacked up. So I've got a list of 10 things here. The two most important are with our visitors here, that we'll start with them. So we want to begin with David Wade. Now, David, come up. Now, let me tell you, David has had, and Gray, thank you for being here. Both of these good folks live in Brandon. I can tell you that David has had a long stint in helping the city of Brandon. For instance, it was 8 years ago that he fashioned a letter to the Justice Department allowing us to consolidate all our precincts under one roof. Remember that, Mr. Baker?
Yes, sir.
Which was a kind of a neat thing. So a good thing. So appreciate you being here, David. I know you just flew in from Tate County, right?
Right. Thank you, Mayor, for the introduction. I wanted to update the board, because I know we have new board members as well as not some new board members that may not have gone through the redistricting process 10 years ago. I believe I'm correct. I think Chris, Harry, Lou, and Mayor were the only ones here when we did the last board plan after the 2010 census. And I just want to give you an update. We've been under contract with the city for a couple of years now. The mayor wanted us to get on the front end of this, and knowing that the 2020 census would be coming out this year, we went ahead and contracted with the city a couple of years ago to have that in place, so you guys could be one of the first ones we worked with on that. I wanted to just kind of bring you up to speed on where we're at as far as the 2020 census and what we'll be doing once we receive those numbers. You may have seen in the news that we did receive the statewide numbers a month or two ago, I believe, which did show a little population decrease statewide. But as you well know, in the city of Brandon, there's probably been quite an increase in population, a lot of growth, and that's what we've seen over the years. I believe I've worked on all of the redistricting plans from the 2000 census up. I may have worked a little bit on one in between before then, because anytime the city annexes, we have to redraw the wards to include the annexed area. So there was some in-between census, decennial census redistricting efforts also. But the process, well, let me back up to the 2020 census. What I was going to say is we have not received those numbers. They're supposed to be out April 1st. By law, they're supposed to be released to the states by April 1st. And they delayed that due to COVID and all the delays associated with that. And the latest time frame we're told will be the end of September. We should have those numbers. So as soon as we get those numbers, the process, and that's kind of the handout I gave you, is just to kind of outline what that entails. The process will basically be, we get the numbers, it's raw data that we have to kind of crunch and get to our GIS mapping system. From that, we'll overlay your current ward plan, current ward lines to see where we're at. The overall goal is to be roughly the same population in each ward. And as Mark had talked about, that goes back to the one person, one rule criteria. And that even goes back to the 14th Amendment, the equal protection part. So the idea is just to balance each ward. So roughly each ward has the same amount of people. Obviously, you can't get exactly the same amount of people in each ward. It would just be mathematically impossible. But you're allowed what they call a top-to-bottom deviation not to exceed 10%. And all that means is what you end up with, your heaviest populated ward, the difference in it, for example, say it's 5% over the ideal, like if you were to split the city 6 ways and have ideal population, if that one were, say, 5% over, and then your lightest populated ward were, say, 6%, well, that's 11% combined deviation, and that would not work. So the goal is to get everybody under that 5%, whether they're above or below, to stay under that and keep from meeting that 10% deviation. So what we'll do is we'll overlay the new numbers and the current wards. We'll see where we're at. That's the main thing, is just evaluate it and see if we're in compliance. I would be surprised with the amount of growth if we are still in compliance. If we were, that'd be great. And we could, the the contract be voided, no charge, that kind of thing. But more than likely, in a high growth area, you're gonna be out of compliance somewhere. It's just too much growth in certain areas. So from there, we'll meet with you, we'll help you develop a set of guidelines to guide the process, which of course would include things like incumbency, where the incumbents live, the one person, one vote rule, make sure that you're gonna try to balance everything. We try to keep communities intact, communities such as, neighborhoods and so on, but it's not always possible. Crossgates is so big, it ends up getting divided up a bit. Last time we went through the process, we did try to ensure the lines, if you'll look, I think we went down Highway 80, and then maybe 471 was the dividing line. We tried to keep it on major roadways where possible to make it easy, try to lessen voter confusion. We hate for a neighborhood to get split because they don't, somebody may understand why they're in one ward, their neighbors in another. So, as I said, sometimes in certain areas that may be necessary, but from there, we'll just kind of meet with you. We can hold individual meetings with each alderman or alderperson. We can meet as a board, however you want to do that, and just talk about potential plans and conceptual plans, and really on that part, you guys kind of guide the process as to where you want to see those lines drawn and balanced. If it's a situation where maybe you just have one ward that needs to lose some people and one needs to gain, it's an easy swap. That's always, an easy redistricting effort. But overall, we generally try not to make too many unnecessary changes because it just leads to voter confusion. But from there, we'll help you on the, on Angela's end, kind of helping with the things like, I don't know if it was last time or time before, we worked with you to kind of clean up the voter rolls, or at least know where people were, and not clean up voter rolls necessarily, but just figure out where addresses were. But of course, we'll work with you on that. This go around, we're not required to submit this to the Department of Justice. In the past, we always had to do a submission for pre-clearance. I think it was in 2013 that the Supreme Court ruled we didn't do that any longer. But it doesn't really change things from our perspective because we're still going to do the things that they would look at. We're going to do the one person, one vote criteria, the protect minority voting, voting strength and that sort of thing. So it doesn't really change things, only we just don't have to get it pre-cleared any longer. Mark maybe speak to that a little more in depth, but that's the process. And basically, I'm just here to answer any questions. I wanted to update you on the time frame. I think I was here about a year ago when we thought we were going to have the numbers April 1st, and that didn't occur. So just want to let you know where that's at. There was a little confusion with some of our cities because they saw the news that we got the statewide numbers, and they didn't understand why we couldn't start redistricting. And that was the reason we haven't got the detailed numbers for localities and census blocks and that kind of thing.
Great. Any questions, board? All right, great. So you're going to shift into the next comprehensive plan.
Yes, sir. All right, thank you. So I am Gray Oots with the Planning and Development District, and we have been asked to present a proposal for an update to the city's comprehensive plan. To give you a little background, David and I both are with the Planning and Management Division of CMPDD. For those of you who are new, you're invited to attend an orientation workshop later in July at CMPDD, and they'll go through all the services we offer. But these are just the planning and management services. We have drone capabilities, GIS, different planning, land use zoning, transportation, subdivision regulations, and then we also are the MPO. And where that becomes important today in this conversation is that is part of the transportation funding, and as a member of the MPO, you become eligible for transportation funds that are passed through federal highways, slightly through MDOT, and then to our office in the metropolitan area. one of those services or one of those funding sources is for planning activities. And we can offset the cost of land use plans, which are part of a comprehensive plan, through these MPO dollars. So when you look at our proposal, you will see that federal transportation or MPO match, and that is where those funds come from. So just wanted to explain that to you. Also, a comprehensive plan. Let's see. Well, will you jump up there and grab that for me? So a comprehensive plan, by state code, every city or local government that enforces zoning and subdivision regulations must also have a comprehensive plan that those zoning regulations are based on. The City of Brandon has a current plan that was adopted about 6 years ago. It is still in effect, still being used every day. It's sitting right here in front of Matt as I'm looking. But that plan, we recommend on a professional level that those be updated every 5 to 7 years, especially in high growth areas. And we know the growth is here. We have seen it personally. So with that being said, it is time for Brandon to update the comprehensive plan. That process will follow both state code requirements that have 4 elements, goals and objectives, community facilities, transportation, and land use. Most frequently, you will refer to the land use plan of this comprehensive plan when you make zoning and other land development decisions. So we are going to work towards, if you approve this proposal, we will work towards the update of your comprehensive plan to reflect current growth patterns and future growth areas for the city. Our history since 2000, we have done over 75 comprehensive plans all over the area. Historically, we have done multiple plans and zoning ordinances for Brandon as well. This is some of our new technology. We are now utilizing GIS and drone technology in our comprehensive plans to better highlight and show our communities. They come to life. They are interactive and online as well as in print format. So this is just an example of some of the drone photography that we can incorporate. And we have already flown a good bit of Brandon. We will continue to fly Brandon. So that is one element that we will use in this updated plan. Also, we are using GIS technology and rendering technology to develop master plans or comprehensive plans that give you more than just colors on a map. They can show scale, they can show location. These are not meant to be architectural plans or true development plans, but they're to give a marketing perspective or a better idea of the development capability. So when we say a comprehensive plan today is more interactive, this is what we're talking about. It can really show and have that conversation in a way that a printed document is unable to convey as easily. So these elements here, you can see the different types of uses based on the layout and the color, showing different features. You also can do fly-throughs of the area. So this is an example of we rendered it, we pulled it out in 3D, and we're flying through the area. Now again, this is meant for planning purposes. This is not meant to be architectural plans or renderings, but it just gives you an idea of what could be in the community. We also work using just some basic renderings to show before and afters. This is Bailey Avenue at Jackson Medical Mall, if you're familiar with that area, showing development potential and what it would look like if you were to pull the current development to the curb to explain better these concepts that we many times refer to in a planning document. So again, it shows, just kind of highlights some of those areas. This is existing development and then what it could look like is the idea. infill development, what does that look like? You can look at scale, you can look at size. So these renderings can all become part of your comprehensive plan in a way that really brings it to life. And then again, the Bailey Avenue transition. So this is the pretty side of a comprehensive plan. The deep side of a comprehensive plan is knowing what your existing land use is, what is on the ground today, and where you are going in the future. And that is what we would work with the city and with the board. Thank you. I keep losing my mouse. To address. So this is again, community facilities. If you've looked at your community facilities plan, it is just a quick brush over a list of facilities and moving on through. This allows you to really highlight those facilities, show those buildings, and then in situations such as fire departments, well, you can actually create a map, and we can do this with parks, we can do this with a multitude of your facilities. But here with fire stations, you can click on the map, see where they're located, see what sort of equipment's there. These are all things that are standard in a comprehensive plan for the most part, but now it's become interactive. So it's taking that state requirement that we address community facilities and enhance it. Here, same thing with transportation. A lot of times we list traffic counts in a comprehensive plan, and it's just a chart. By putting it in this interactive format, you have traffic counts, but now you can actually click on the highway and say, well, I want to know about this area. I want to know about this area. Where is it and what is it? Here, it's functional classification. We were actually just having a conversation about this very thing. So you can really have some interactive features that help you better market, better address and convey your vision, because that is a comprehensive plan. It is your 20 to 25-year vision for your local government. It's how you're going to adopt zoning and land use decisions to get there. So that is what we are proposing to you. Like I said, you have that proposal in front of you. We are here locally. For those of you that don't know CMPDD or know either of us, we are both residents of Brandon, and our offices are now recently relocated to Pearl, just inside Pearl, about a mile and a half from the city limits of Brandon. So we're very close by, very local. We're quite involved in the community. So we would be happy to answer any questions you have or address any concerns.
Thank you, Gray. All right, so another component of that is what's generally called TA, Transportation Alternative. Now, Board, we're asking to go ahead and act on this and a transportation alternative, sidewalks, running trails, that kind of thing. If you're agreeable to that, there won't be any payouts on this until we get past October, but this gives them the months between now and our next FY to begin work on that. So that's kind of where we're going here. We just didn't want to wait till October when the holidays got here and then ask them to go to work. I think it'd be beneficial to the city of Brandon and to them if they could begin some basic analysis immediately. So that's kind of where we're going with that. So I see all these Neil Schaefer people coming in here. I don't know, contaminating the room. Good to see you, Keith. Snuck in the back room back here, didn't he? Yeah. All right, so this is Mr. Jonathan Kaiser, who has done a yeoman's job for us already. When we opened the amphitheater, we did a lot of traffic count things, looking at how traffic would go in and out. He spent a lot of time at night after the shows, days of show, figuring it out so that we could develop a better plan of action. And according to Chief here, I don't know what we need, but anyway. So Jonathan, thank you for coming. Turn it over to you.
I'm Jonathan Kaiser with Kaiser Traffic and Engineering. I've been doing traffic and planning work for the last 28 years. The last 21 of those years I did as an employee of Neil Schaefer. So in June I started my own business. And what's the problem there? Sorry.
It keeps freaking out. I don't know. We're warming it up, getting ready for budget time. Go ahead, Angela, I think we have, anyway, put this on your IT list to look at with Jeff tomorrow. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Thank you, Mayor. But we are glad to be here today to work with you on your pedestrian and bicycle master plan. I've met with the mayor several times and looked at a lot of the facilities here, and we're looking forward to teaming with Neil Schaefer and providing you with the master plan for your bicycle and pedestrian plan. So I have Russ Bryan with Neil Schaefer coming.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Board. What I'm going to run through is kind of hit on some of our experience. It may be a little bit hard to see, but if you don't mind turning around, I'm going to hit on a few of our prior experience. We've recently completed a bicycle and pedestrian master plan for the city of Hernando, which I believe is a good comparison or complementary city to the city of Brandon. Once we completed that, the Memphis MPO decided to update their pedestrian and bike plan. So we have experience, at the municipal city level, but also as a team member for a larger MPO regional bike and ped master plan. We also do campus bike and ped master planning. We've completed plans for both the Hattiesburg and Gulf Park campuses for the University of Southern Mississippi. And then we also do trail master planning or linear park planning. These are two graphics from Tuscaloosa and Columbus, both river cities who have just a great amount of river frontage that they wanted to use for better trail and better recreation opportunities. And so we've master planned, provided plans for both of those cities. I think the one critical piece of information is we do have planning experience, but our team provides you with not just ideas, pretty pictures. We've taken it through design, bidding, and construction. And so we provide a lot of feasibility to our ideas when it comes to trail planning. As you can see, we've designed, bid, and overseen construction for almost 70 miles of trails throughout Mississippi.
Thanks, Russ. I've been working with the Greater Jackson Chamber since 2009 with their Trails Committee here locally, and worked on getting funding for multiple trails around the Children's Museum and around the state-owned property. This is one afternoon when the mayor and I went around and looked at some of the trails around Quarry Park and around the amphitheater. And also going along the old abandoned railroad line connecting to Busick Pond Road and around the soccer field. So part of what we would be doing is coming up with a mapping, the mapping of the proposed trails and existing sidewalks and trails and pedestrian facilities. Here's your Quarry Park and a new bridge inside Quarry Park there. Some of the great facilities that you already have. Go ahead. And the abandoned railroad line that would connect to Busick Pond Road, the sewer easement. These are great connecting opportunities where you have existing topographic features or cleared areas or utilities that would be a great backbone for some of your trail connections through your community. So, with that, we would be putting together your bicycle and pedestrian master plan that would be, one aspect of your overall comprehensive plan. So, we've got Keith O'Keefe with Neil Schaefer that's joined us also this evening.
I just want to say hi, appreciate this opportunity to team Kaiser Traffic and Engineering and provide this to you. We opened a new office here in Brandon, 2101 Forsyth, and we've got quite a few people over there in that office now that live in Brandon, live in Rankin County, all at home, so we're excited to have a much bigger presence here in Brandon. And
Thanks, John.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. So I've got a stack of stuff in front of your board, and we'll get through some of that. Matt, for cups, did you want to talk about this now, or when you get up in the board meeting, talk about cups? Pardon me? Pardon me? Let me see if I can blister through this to try to get everybody kind of tuned in to where we're going here. Yeah, Angela, can you bump up those lights a little bit, please? Not all the way to the top, or this one over here, go to blinking. Just kind of bump them up till they come on. Just the two button, the up button, just bump it a few times. More better. There you go. That's good. That's good. All right. So, board, I left a packet of stuff laying there for you that we've assembled. Angela and I were working this past week on supplying some hotelers information, and I thought it'd be poignant for you to see too. So you got one that says tax growth. Staff's got a red page on the front. Mr. Baker picked this up, so I thought I'd bring it to your attention. There's 2 or 3 key things in there. You see, we budget very conservatively. So on ad valorem, we've already exceeded going into now what we budgeted against that. On sales tax, you see some interesting numbers there. If you look at that, June, May, and February, we were over 600,000 in sales tax, almost 700,000 in May, first time ever. And if you look at the 2% food and beverage fund, if you count those, there are 6 months in there where we've exceeded $100,000. That's the first time that's ever happened too. So the economy has awoken and really looking good for us as we move into the budget. Also, you'll find something with a green page on it that says the youth sports tournaments. This was an attendance overview of 2 things. It was tournaments and participants and visitors coming in this year. And right behind that, you'll see something on the amphitheater as to attendance. Now, the most recent full year we could go back to was 19, and we had 72,145 people that attended or were ticketed in the amphitheater. That's the proper way to say that, which is good. So, board, I really believe unless something catastrophic happens, heaven forbid, you're going to be looking at a year this year where you're going to be clicking in at somewhere in the 160 to 175,000 people in Brandon for youth sports and shows and all these kind of things. So a lot going on, and glad we're able to bring these things to the people that live here. Next page, you'll find something from the Department of Health. I made mention of this earlier to you about our water capacity rating. If you will turn through here, I will find that for you in just a minute. This is the what we get from the Department of Health. I thought I had that highlighted so I could pick it out easily. 64 point something %. You got it? There we go. That is somewhere toward the back, City of Brandon design capacity sheet of 64.1%. So I know you engineer types, you know. We've been at over 90% of our water capacity for many years. That's the first time we've been at this level of water for over 20 years. So that was those 2 500,000 gallon tanks we put up, new wells, been rehabbing our wells. And that is a good thing for attracting businesses and restaurants and more home growth. Another thing you're going to find is a trails concept plan. Next page in that order. And if you remember, about 2 years ago, we contracted with the International Mountain Bike Association. They sent a guy here who's on the ground, and we contracted with them, kind of a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 thing to make a mountain bike plan of action that we've been shaking a stick at, unbeknownst to everybody. Well, now everybody knows it's there. I want to make a comment and tell you that there'll be mountain bike races out there the next 3 Saturdays in July, the 10th, the 17th, and the 21st. They will begin at 5 o'clock. I think there will be food trucks there. It looks like a really good event. There's going to be a lot of spectator sports there if you want to see that. So we're doing what we set about to do with creating a space, green spaces for nature and mountain bike. So the next one behind that is we've been approached by several people to make a disc golf course. Had a Zoom meeting last, can't even remember when that was, Angela, Thursday, late Friday or something. And I want to put this to you. Of course, you can act on it tonight. I think you need to digest it a little bit. But you'll see this disc golf hoop design. And he's a designer that's been all over the United States and Canada and Australia. He is the premier architect, if you would. So he created a phase one of 2 days, 3 days, and 4 days down, walking all these areas in Brandon to help begin the process of designing a quality disc golf. I'm really struggling here not to say Frisbee. I just didn't know if you'd pick up on that or not. But I'm not saying Frisbee, but it is a up-and-coming sport, and it's anything to get kids out and enjoy the outdoors. So, Board, I'd like to get him here for at least 3 days. I sent him topo maps of Shiloh, Quarry Park, and City Park, and I believe we've got a lot of potential there to develop a real state-of-the-art disc golf venue, just like cross country, which we're working on as well. So you can study that. If you want to add it tonight, we'll add it. Next thing I have, Board, is a community development block grant program, environmental clearance that we got in the mail last Friday, or Monday actually, yesterday. Here come the disc golf guys. Well, we're done. They decided, go away, you bother us. What'd you do? Bring in all, what do you do? All right, so look, I'm gonna pause because we just got through talking about the hoop plan. John, I gave him a copy of what he sent, so come on up to the mic and tell us why you want disc golf and why you think it's important for the city of Brandon. Who are you?
Pass these out to the Alderman.
What are they?
PowerPoint slide.
I've already got them.
You already gave them?
They've already have a copy of that.
All right. All right, y'all. My name is Andy Smith. I currently work for the Rankin County Board of Supervisors. Been there a little under 2 years now. I've been in the IT field for over 10 years. 2 of those past years I worked for Delbert Hoseman in the Secretary of State's office. My wife and I have lived in the city of Brandon for 8 years now. We're raising a 2-year-old son in the city. Before that, we lived in Scott County. I grew up in Pelahatchie, going to East Rankin. The men I brought with me, they're just a small example of the community surrounding disc golf in the state of Mississippi. We're all active members in the Judges group. Judges stands for Jackson Union of Disc Golf Enthusiasts. At this time, if you don't mind, Mayor Lee, I'd like for them to come introduce themselves.
Sure.
Hey, Carson Dobbs. I had some things I wanted to say. I don't want to take a lot of y'all's time, but I can tell you all after they introduce themselves. It's a lot of time. I don't know how this is going to flow, but I also live in Brandon and love the city.
My name is Carter Collins. I'm the college young adults pastor at Cross Gates Baptist Church and amateur disc golf player, and I'd love to see something like that come to this city.
RJ McGinnis, I'm a professional disc golfer, not as my profession. I play pro at tournaments. I work at the U.S. Attorney's Office. I've been playing for 12 years, and I think it's great to have here. I live in Brandon.
My name is Liz Stewart. I am a CPA in a small city firm. I am an amateur disc golf player, have been since about 1999. I helped start the Mississippi State Disc Golf Club, helped build the first course up there. I put disc golf with Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits as a state manager. The sales team covers the entire state, so I get to travel to the state of ours normally. Get to eat in all the amazing places that we have here. I started playing disc golf a couple of years ago and absolutely fallen in love with it. I live in Ridgeland, and that's primarily where I play. But one of the things about disc golf that I think is so appealing that you don't find in many sports is this is a sport that you can play with your children, with your parents, with your friends. Boys and girls can play together, you can be equally and have a great time. It really encompasses all walks of life, all ages, and it's an absolutely beautiful sport. So,
Y'all have to bear with me, I'm not a talker. About a year ago, I typed up a proposal for Mayor Lee requesting a future disc golf course for the city of Brandon. Since then, myself and fellow club members have walked the grounds with the mayor and spoke about how much potential it holds. No other course in the state of Mississippi has the layout this property has. And with John Houck's course design expertise, we will put Brandon, Mississippi on the map with the disc golf community. We could always cut corners and throw some baskets in the ground and call it a day, but we already have those courses surrounding us. Those courses are enjoyed by the community, but if you allow us to move forward with the Houck designed course, players will come to the city, not just within the state, but out-of-state players as well. Now, I have some information on John Houck, but you can always Google him. He's a pretty easy target. Just a quick thing, in his 40-year career in the disc golf sport, he has created 87 permanent courses, 13 temporary courses, and consulted or reviewed 38 courses. His courses have covered 17 states and 2 countries. 18 of John's courses have been PDGA World and National Championship courses, not including 30 more courses that he helped design. Now, his latest course is in Sims, Alabama, not too far from us, around Mobile. And that was his 100th course design, and over 250 players from 6 states attended the sneak peek for this course. The course is getting much usage and hosted 2 professional disc golf tournaments in the first month of opening. Now with this, I'm sure Carson has some information, but we've spoken with John and Dee, his wife, and our request, or what we're asking the Board of Aldermen for, is 2 options for phase 1 of the disc golf course, and it would be getting John and Dee to the state of Mississippi, to Brandon, to walk the property. And Dee actually, I don't know if you got the email, Mayor Lee, but she sent us 2 options. We have a 2-day option, which would be reviewing maps, walking on the site, the 250 acres, walk the land and submit short reports on ideal locations and type of course if possible, PARs, results, the usage, attend the city council meeting, attend meeting with the city to discuss site development timeline, etc. And that option would be $4,000, not including room and board, things like that. I think she said with option 1 it would be $750 extra expenses for travel. And she also made a note that they don't have to fly, they can actually drive from Texas and just pay for the mileage instead of a plane ticket. Now option 2 would be 3 days instead of 2, and she would review three courses, which would include Crystal Springs, the Res at Pelahatchie Shore, and the future course we have here off Marquette. And they would do all of the above on option 1, walk the acreage, walk the 250 acre lot, submit the report, attend the city council meeting with a Q&A, attend meeting with city to discuss site, etc., engage local disc golf community for feedback and Q&A. That option will be $6,000. And the extra room and board would be $1,000 instead of $750 with the extra day. That's all I have, unless Mayor Lee wants to say something, or if Carson would like to come up here.
I'm sorry, Andy, what?
Carson, you got anything else you want to say?
I don't want to take more than y'all's time than we have to.
You've got, how about 5 minutes?
Okay, I really just got a couple of points I wanted to.
We're gonna set these with this sweet lady right here, because this is a different PowerPoint. This is a picture.
First off, thank y'all. I know any city or team is only good as its leaders. And Brandon, just where we are and where we're going, I think says a lot about y'all. So thank you for your leadership. And I don't know if y'all have been to the quarry area, but it is beautiful. My wife, we've been here, or she's been here close to 2 years now, and we went and walked it, and she said, this is the most fun I've had in the past 2 years. I mean, it's amazing out there. It's really a blessing from the Lord that we have that beautiful land here in Brandon. And one of the reasons I think we need Houck Design is because what they do is they go in and they walk the land, and they find the most amazing, beautiful parts, you know, like this stream of water that might not have been seen, where most people might just put a basket here. They want to highlight the attributes, because that's what makes a good disc golf course. And the second reason is, you know, there's already bike trails and already walking trails. So anyone can't just go in there and throw in a course. It'd be dangerous for the bikers, dangerous for the disc golfers, dangerous for the walkers. And what they do is they have proven experience with that type of thing, where they can bring them all together, and where they really do put safety at the top of everything they do. And I know you guys would love them if they came and presented, but they just have proven excellence in everything that they do as far as disc golf design. And we would be, it really would be a destination course as far as disc golf goes. And I'm pretty confident it would immediately be the #1 course in the state, possibly top in the nation. I know that sounds like there's no way, but it really is possible because of how amazing that property is. And I would just hate to see this slip by us and not take advantage of it, because once this course is put in, it's there for, you know, years to come. And so we would just greatly appreciate it if you guys would consider this. And anyways, that's all I have. Again, thank you guys.
Thank you, Carson. And yes, would you leave something? And Andy did make a comment, he could fill the room up with disc golf folks. I didn't know you were going to be bringing pros out, though, you know. So just out of curiosity, what's the difference between a pro and a novice?
Your registration.
Okay. Had to ask. All right. Thank you for that. Yes, sir. Go ahead. If you would, use your microphone.
Would you go back, would you verify, you said option 2, they would review our land, reservoir land, and who else?
Crystal Springs.
All right, so would Reservoir and Crystal Springs be involved in the fee? Or are we paying for the fee for them to go look at their places too?
Those courses are designed by Doug Williams. He was our past president. I believe he was the founder of Judges, correct? Doug Williams, he's a course designer as well. He's not in the name recognition as John, but he's worked with John in the past, and he actually lives in Missouri now. But he's working on 2 other courses for the state, but those are his courses, and John actually mentioned wanting to go visit those courses to get an idea of how to design this course, because those courses are a fine straight line layout. I don't know if you've played a Cherry Hill course north of Forest.
I've never played.
It's kind of a putt and approach course. You know, it's a short line, and that's how those are designed. But with a John Houck course, there's multiple ways to get to the basket, and he's wanting to feed off of what we already have here in Rankin County.
So Andy, to narrow the scope behind what he's asking, we're not going to be spending taxpayer dollars in Brandon for visits to other locales.
Right.
So anyway, we'll,
And
you know,
all
you
this,
digest
you know,
this, we'll get back to you. If you're receptive to this, we'll get back to you at our next board meeting with the proposal. Just need to get some feedback from you. Dwight?
Yes, I'm kind of done with the sport too. I've never played it, but.
Yes, sir.
How many acres are required for a course?
On a pro course, they recommend 2 acres to a hole, so roughly around 50 or so acres, and we definitely have that at the Marquette location. And that's on a pro course, not a
And
course
that's
that we have in the
dedicated
state of
acres.
Mississippi. Sir?
Dedicated acres?
Dedicated, yeah. And the good thing about disc golf, if you're not familiar with it, it works with the land, just like Carson was talking about. It flows with the hills and the rocks and the landscape that we have. It's not like a ball golf course where they clear everything out and rebuild it. We work around everything. We work with every tree we got, every rock, every hill. So it wouldn't put a dent in the landscape we already have. We want to keep as much of that as we can.
Thank you. That's a good question too, Dwight. And I did ask John, we were in that Zoom meeting, can't stand Zoom meetings, about the impact on hikers and nature and bikes. And he said it could be designed separate from those as well. So all using similar space. All right? Thank you, Andy.
Thank y'all.
All right, so then I got this letter concerning CDBG grant. That's what the map's for over here on the wall, folks. You should have a hard copy of that as well. That is the Apple Ridge sewer rehabilitation line. So we should be giving this, hello, Mr. Walter. We should be giving this not too far down the road. I try to tell people, and they think I'm making it up when I say it. We started on this 2 years ago, literally, and sent the paperwork in May a year ago. So it takes time. I mean, it needs to happen. But at least I got this, and I think that's a clearance from the environmental side of it that we're one step closer to getting started and being able to put that project out for bid. So, second thing is we got this letter from MDOT, the Emergency Road and Bridge. There's a call for projects. We did submit a project that we weren't awarded. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm asking you for the admin side to begin working on it. If we can come up with a project that we can submit to MDOT seeking funding to help us out. Got a couple of thoughts. Looked at bridges out at Shiloh. Looked at turn lanes on 80 and a couple other things. So we're working on that. But I've got to have your permission to generate those things. So just keeping you in the loop, and we will move forward with that. Last one is the minutes approving the East Metro Corridor that were done in May when we rescinded. This is approval of those minutes, Mark, that can be recorded in our minutes, that we have approved minutes from East Metro Corridor where we released from the monetary expense of budgeting for the next 2 years.
Well, do we have the May 4th, the actual meeting?
Yes, you should already have those as well. This approved those minutes. All right, well, I'll get them. So this accepted those minutes. And then the last thing for our new board members and everybody else is comparative municipal salary survey, which is good information to look at time to time. Kind of keep you focused. All right, Matt, I've got 5:48. You want to try to tackle cups right quick?
Yes.
Might be good that we run out of time, make you talk fast for a change. If he gets done. Mr. Baker says you have 3 minutes because he needs to discuss another issue.
All right, so the cups, I provided you all a handout. I guess briefly, I think everybody's been talking about what's going on with the building at 1382 West Government, which was the old Annie D's or the old Old Town building. Cups has purchased that building. They do plan on tearing that building down and building a new facility that would house Cups, and then there'll be some other additional tenant space. They are needing to be out of their current space by the 1st of September. While they're working with their architect and working on construction drawings and whatnot to get permitted to do their project, they are requesting a temporary building to be placed at that location so they continue to serve their customer base here in Brandon. I provided you a plan. They're basically laid out a time frame where they would be requesting the temporary building to be on site for around a year. They are going to requesting to place the building up front, still accommodate for safety with circulation for people using the drive-through as well as other customers. The plan right now, you can see on the drawing, they'd put up a temporary construction fence to help separate customer traffic with construction. And so I just wanted you all to be aware of what's going on with that project. I don't have it on the agenda tonight to vote on. We certainly can add it, or we can wait until the next board meeting if y'all wish to have time to digest the request.
Board, I'd ask that you go ahead and act on this tonight. So they've gone around the world on this location 2 or 3 times of tearing down, remodeling, and finally reached a point where they're going to demolish the whole building and get rid of it and build a new building in the middle of that slab, which I think is wise. But in order to protect the corporate name of Cups, they've got to keep a business flag flying. Now, I told the owner that personally I could support that, but I can't support it if it's longer than a year. So I don't want a portable business sitting down there on that slab 13 months from now. And they seemed agreeable to that. They
Yes.
understood. So then you fall into the trap is how long it's going to take to get a red iron building up. So, anyway, you got hindrances there, but it's a brand and business and one we care about, and I think we ought to do all we can to keep them viable. So that's my thoughts. Okay?
Is the picture you've got, is that the building they're going to?
That was an example of what they'd like to put up. We certainly can, it can be painted a different color or whatnot to look a little nicer than that building, but that was just an example of the style of building that they would put up there for the temporary structure.
I'm good with it, but I want it to be, at least look nice, because I'm like the mayor, get into bad weather or whatever, and then here we are a year later, and it's 6 more months. That type building, that needs to look a little nicer than that.
Okay.
And Mayor, I'm good with adding it if you want to,
Okay.
as long as
Good
it's
deal.
nicer.
Thank you. All right, now we want to talk about Kennedy Farm Parkway, Mr. Baker. Mr. Dodd.
We can, I don't know that the board has to.
So, this is Kennedy Lake. This is something that I think Matt's been working on with the developer of that subdivision. There are 11 lots in Kennedy Farm Parkway Phase 1. Kennedy Farms Phase 1, I'm sorry. They're on the parkway there. The developer was talking with Matt about constructing sidewalks. As you know, the city has an ordinance that requires the construction of sidewalks, and that was approved in the process. However, based on the city's master plan, it's my understanding that it might be better for the city that sidewalk not be located across the front of those lots, but rather across the street. And so in lieu of the developer or the builders actually constructing the sidewalks along the front of those lots, they are asking that they be permitted to pay the city, remit to the city the amount of the cost for the construction of a sidewalk across the lot, where the city will hold that money and then use that money for the master planning sidewalk construction for Shiloh Park. And so there are 11 lots, and so basically the condition, what you're seeing here is a covenant condition that would say, before you get a permit, or at the time you apply for a permit, or if you've already applied for a permit and haven't paid the $2,000, that you'll pay the $2,000 per lot. And so the city will accumulate 11 lots worth at $2,000, put that in an account to be used for sidewalk construction at Shiloh Park, if you're so inclined to do that. The other side of that road will be developed by a developer, and so there will be a sidewalk requirement there, so the sidewalks will begin on that side of the road, on the private property side, if and when that property gets developed. And then across the street, the city picks back up on the soccer field side, and I'm sure you've got sidewalks planned in your master plan for that. So this should work, but I'll leave it to Matthew to give you the rest of the details from a community development standpoint.
Do you have any questions on that?
I know, got to be quick. Explain, it's going to be on which side of the road? Are we talking about, they don't want?
The other side, so they're all being built on the.
The houses are, some of the houses are finished, and they have some more that the slabs have been poured. It's that side of the road where you see the actual active construction. When the board approved the plat for it, the requirement is to have 5-foot sidewalks. They're requesting to not build on that side, instead pay in lieu of $2,000 per lot to the city to construct sidewalks on park property across the street. further explanation, when they started building the houses, we have roadside ditches on that side. It became complicated to work within the roadside ditch, to work with utilities. It became complicated to construct a sidewalk on that side of the road. Okay.
You understand where it's coming from?
Yes.
You had open ditches on that side of the road, and, you don't want kids in the street. If so that's where it's going out there, especially, that's a busy road. All right, any more? Mr. Baker? Matt, you got anything else on that?
I don't.
More questions? Chris? Harry? Dwight, y'all good? Okay. Matthew, I've got this letter I need to give you for that CDBG grant. I've got it here. Mr. Dodd, if you would take this to Matthew Miller back there in the back, please. All right, I have 5:56. So I see we have a Mayor's Youth Council member that has walked in the back of the room incognito, trying to hide against the back wall. And in just a moment, I'm going to reach out there and ask Mr. Walter Redd if he would come up and put a word of prayer on us as we start this new board off on the work before the people. Okay? So it's going to be just a minute, though. We're going to get started here. We'll get started with our board meeting in 4 minutes. So